So basically, what we have here is what I call my bone pile. This is a combination of log cabins that have been taken down, old barn beams, and some heart pine beams that I got out of a industrial building that you've seen me cutting up on my video. So let's take a tour. I'm doing this kind of as an introduction to what I hope to be a series for all 6 of my subscribers, and hopefully I'll get some more. So here we go, tour of the boneyard with a little help from my dogs. Here is some old log cabin beams out of walls and ends that were taken down. Some of them are partially rotten, so I had to cut them into pieces. What I'm hoping to do is take a lot of these orphan logs and build my sons and I, and whoever else wants to use it, a hunting cabin out in the woods. Here's some old hand-hewn rafters, floor rafters, or floor joists, I'm sorry, in this pile. These are all white oak and they are heavy and hard. This pile is some more heart pine beams that I have to cut up. I may use these for the lower beam on the log cabin when I start putting it up. Over here's a couple of circular saws that I hope to restore someday. These are Foley bell saws, I believe. Here's some more beams. I think those are pine mostly. And then these are shorts for the log cabin. You can hear my bird dog in the background. She's barking at pigeons in the barn, and they drive her absolutely wild. She barks and jumps at them until they finally fly out. You can hear them, I think. This is another pile, and this is a real nice pile of white oak short beams for the log cabin. They have different notches. Most of them are half dovetail. I do have some of the steeple notch. These piles over here are mostly beams out of an old bank barn that I took down. There's beams, rafters, joists, as you can see in the pile. I try to keep them covered up. Then that big pile in the background, that's more of the big heart pine beams that I've been cutting up. In total I had 36 of these. I've cut up 4 so far. That's a giant poplar log that I'll get to someday. So here's the heart pine beams. I think it's really interesting when you look at the growth rings on these, how tight they are. That tells you how old these things are. They smell like amazing new when you cut into them. Move on over. This is more barn beams, rafters, joists. And then over this direction is all beams out of the bank barn I took down about 2 years ago probably. And it's interesting because the big floor joist in this barn was all giant hand-hewn beams. There was beech, oak, hickory, you name it. Some of them are 40+ feet long and heavy. You can see that pile there, how long some of them are. And some of these probably will be replacements because they're wider, maybe replacements for log cabin. I have 3 log cabins. 2 of them are complete. One of them is just an orphan that I'm showing you now. So here's some logs. I've just done this the last 2 days that I put on my hay wagon, and these are mostly trimmed up to good parts. I'll have to re-notch some. And again, these are all differing notches. I mean, some of them have the what I call a steeple notch, and then some of them like this have the half dovetail notch. So to make one cabin, I'll hopefully have enough to make a 14 by 16 cabin. I'll have to re-notch everything. They look rough, but they're basically still really good because most of them are white oak, and man, are they heavy. And there's the old John Deere 333D. That is a beast of a skid loader, 90 plus horsepower. So that's a tour of the outside. Go in the barn where Millie's got the pigeons in the rafters barking, and in here I've got some more beams, including on 2 wagons. Here is a complete 18 by 18 log cabin. This came out of Glendale, Kentucky. It was a dog trot cabin, and I only have one side of it. The other side is actually inside a restaurant in Glendale, Kentucky. Here's some barn beams out of a previous barn that I took down, and then back further in the barn is some shorts, the 18 by 18 cabin, some rafters. As you can see, they're all hand hewn. Each one of them has a notch that matches it's paired. And then back in the back there's some more orphan log cabin beams. Then most of this in the back, if you can see it or not, there's a pigeon up there driving my dogs crazy. They're German short-hair pointers, so obviously birds. Millie, is that bird bothering you? Mill, is that pigeon bothering you? Look at that stinking pigeon. This is all just old sawn wood that came out of the barns. Some really nice stuff. Most of it's wide open. This barn's an extension of the boneyard, basically. It's storage for lots of really nice old barn wood that came off the barns we took down. Barn tin. Old tongue and groove flooring that came out of one of the old log cabins we took down is in that pile. And that pile is just a mixture of old barn wood, some sawed up barn beams, some poplar that's been kiln dried. That pile is pine and barn boards. This is where I took a lot of longer barn boards, barn wood to do my shop. And then this pile underneath is kiln dried cherry. Then I sawed up lots of old poplar and cedar clapboard siding that was on one of the cabins that I took down. And this old Johnny B, who is dusty as can be, normally it starts up just fine, but I haven't been able to get it started recently. I gotta move the gooseneck trailer and pull it out, get the points cleaned up on the magneto, and see if I can get it fired up. Runs like a top. What are you doing, girls? Runs like a top. I rebuilt the carburetor a couple years ago, and it really made a big difference. And then those big piles there are just all barn wood, some tongue and groove flooring, some beams mixed in. On this side, those beams are all from, I think those are just, some of them are orphan beams. Some of them are from the cabin I took down in south of Bowling Green, Indiana, a couple years ago. This is my big gooseneck trailer. So I got barn wood, barn beams just squirreled away everywhere around here. I'll go show you on the back of this. There's a lean-to. Got some more barn wood and some real nice barn beams that I've pressure washed, cleaned them up, and then had them put in a friend of mine's kiln to heat them up, kill all the bugs that might be in them or larvae. Probably gonna sell them for mantles or something like that. They stay nice and dry under here. That wood I cut up is I think like a river birch, and those are all walnut slabs there. little bourbon run. So those are all the barn beams that were cleaned up, denailed, and kiln dried. And they're all in really good shape. These logs are over here from the Bowling Green cabin. There's some really big wide logs in there. And then those on the bottom that are whitewashed, those are actually floor joists for the second floor, all hand hewn. And back here is just another big pile of old barn siding, and I don't remember what I got cut up on the top of that. Might be some more poplar. So you can see this pole building's up on the hill from the creek, and then there's the old barn. These are the logs to the Steubenville cabin, or the Bowling Green cabin. This cabin was 26 by 18, two-story, had then another addition built onto it. I put them on the wagons just to get them out of the weather as best I can. You can see how huge these are. Some of these were 24 inches wide, and they're about 8 inches thick, so they're really big for log cabin logs. So another, give you an idea how wide those are. It's another project, another day. That's a tour of the boneyard. Stay tuned. Hopefully in the next, who knows, may take a year or more, I'm going to start posting some videos of progress of cleaning this up, get it under better storage, as well as trying to piece together 14 by 16 log cabin from these orphan log cabin logs I've got here. So stay tuned. Appreciate the view. This is John at Butternut Hill Farms. Thank you.